Welcome, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Acts 2 workshop, Lived Experiences of African American Dementia Caregivers, Lessons Learned, Rewards, and Challenges. I'm Dr. Rob Glukoff, servant leader of the Acts 2 project and professor at Florida State University College of Medicine. Just in case you are unfamiliar with the term Acts 2, it stands for African American Alzheimer's Caregiver Training and Support Project 2. I sincerely hope and pray you will find this workshop both inspiring and informative. Before I introduce this evening's presenters, I want to recognize our partners who have contributed both resources and guidance in the development of the Acts 2 Caregiver Workshop Series. Acts 2's primary collaborators are African Methodist Episcopal Church, 11th Episcopal District, the Florida State Primitive Baptist Convention, the Florida Progressive Missionary and Educational Baptist Convention, the Florida General Baptist Convention, Florida Department of Elder Affairs, and the Florida State University College of Medicine's REACH project. Turning now to tonight's presenters, folks, we have four dynamic speakers: Mrs. Barbara Coleman, Reverend Leonard Hixson, Miss Jackie Edwards, and Mrs. Tamika Norton Brown. I have the distinct privilege of serving as moderator for this evening's workshop. Please permit me to share just a few words about each of our featured presenters. Our first presenter, Mrs. Barbara Moore, lives with her dear husband and college sweetheart, Kenneth Moore. They've been married 56 years and have 2 children and 5 grandchildren. Mrs. Moore received her bachelor's degree at Tuskegee University and subsequently pursued graduate studies at Florida A&M University and Nova University. Mrs. Moore is currently retired after holding leadership roles both as president and CEO of a large nonprofit organization, and as a certified Christian educator for the National Baptist Convention. In her limited spare time, Barbara enjoys reading and writing, as well as hosting events at her home for family and friends. Our second presenter, Reverend Leonard Hixson, is Minister of Evangelism at Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church in Pensacola, Florida. Reverend Hixson has a long history of serving persons with substance abuse problems, and with older adults living in nursing home facilities. The Lord has used his extensive experience, in particular from the nursing homes, to prepare him to serve as a caregiver for his dear mother with dementia. From 2018 to 2020, Reverend Hixson served as primary caregiver for his mom 6 months each year. In January 2019, Reverend Hixson participated in the Acts 2 Skills Building program with 2 other family caregivers. Reverend Hixson currently enjoys spending quality time with his family and immersing himself in the Word of God. Our third featured presenter is Miss Jackie Edwards. She's staff assistant, Division of Science and Mathematics at Tallahassee Community College. She received her bachelor's in business administration from Florida A&M University, and subsequently her information specialist master's degree from Florida State University. She is also Gadsden County mentor for the National Hookup of Black Women, a grassroots organization dedicated to improving the lives of persons, in particular women and their families, through supportive health, education, and human service programs. Miss Jackie is a strong Christian and member of Unity Baptist Church in Tallahassee. Jackie is also care partner for her dear 99-year-old mother with dementia. She is, in addition, a highly skilled Acts 2 facilitator. In her spare time, Jackie enjoys interactions with the family, especially around cooking and eating. She particularly is fond of seafood. Last, Tamika Norton Brown is project coordinator of the Acts 2 project. She has worked in the area of survey development and evaluation for the past 21 years. She also has served as caregiver for her aunt and uncle with dementia and has a passion for helping others. Tamika has been a great source of encouragement and support for literally hundreds of family caregivers of older adults with dementia across the state of Florida. She also is a strong leader by example in her church community. Folks, during the course of this workshop, I encourage you to share questions to be answered after each presentation using the text message function of Facebook Live. We also will have a 10-minute question and answer period following the last presentation. And with no further ado, I want to introduce our first featured presenter, Mrs. Barbara Moore. Welcome, Barbara. It is such a blessing to have you here with us this evening. We look forward to your presentation.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me to be a part of this panel presentation this evening. I'm honored to share my insight on some of the challenges, rewards, and lessons I have learned as a caregiver. I've been the caregiver for my husband for the past 5 years. The past 5 months, however, have been the most challenging. However, because I completed the Acts 2 program, I was better prepared for this journey. The program not only gave me the information and knowledge I needed, but it has given me confidence in my ability to care for my husband. The facilitator and the team members were excellent, and they certainly put me on the right track. I'm also grateful for my faith in God, which has sustained me during these difficult times. Philippians 4:6 tells us to be careful for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. As I look back over my experiences as a caregiver, I would describe it as the best of times and the worst of times. It has been the best of times because I have learned many lessons and have received great rewards. It's been the worst of times because even though I have already faced many challenges in my life, the death of my 1-year-old grandson, the death of my 28-year-old son, the death of my youngest sister at age 26, and the death of my father of a massive heart attack at age 61. These challenges did not prepare me for this dementia journey. There are many challenges in caring and in caregiving. However, this evening I'm going to share just a few of them, and I hope that it would be of benefit to you in some way. One of the most difficult challenges for me has been watching my husband, who was an accomplished musician, a licensed private pilot, minister of music at our church, a manager at Kennedy Space Center for over 50 years, gradually lose his abilities and functions. It is like grieving in slow motion, day by day, month by month, year by year. It's like a rite of passage. 6 years ago, my husband and I celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary with family and friends. As a part of that celebration, we also had a rite of passage celebration for our first grandson, who was born on our wedding anniversary and who turned 16 on our 50th wedding anniversary. Being a caregiver and watching my husband is like a rites of passage. For so many things that we have done and have defined us over the years, traveling and being very active in our church convention and teaching, yet we have also embraced many new things in our lives. This disease has caused our lives to be forever altered and changed. I will never be the same, and he will never be the same. Many of the things we used to do have been replaced with daily challenges, yes, some rewards, and many lessons learned. During the past 5 months, my husband faced some additional health issues, and these resulted in me calling the emergency services 3 different times and him being hospitalized twice. At one point during this time, he was not able to walk, and I needed to get help to put him in and out of bed, and he had to use a wheelchair and a walker. It was the worst of times. When he was in the hospital, the doctors and the nurses continued to use the term end of life stage dementia, and they were referencing my husband. Not only was this challenging, but it was very upsetting to me. Not because I was in denial about my husband's condition, but because I did not need to be reminded every day of his condition. Finally, I had to tell the doctors and the nurses not to repeat his condition to me every day. They understood and honored my requests. I thank God that he brought us through this very difficult times. The word of God tells us that he will supply all of our needs according to his riches in heaven. Another challenge I faced was adjusting to him moving from stage to stage with his dementia. By the time I mastered his care for one stage, it appeared that he moved to another stage. With each new stage, he lost more functions, which of course required me to learn another skill set and then add additional tasks to my daily responsibilities. I have moved from sitting and eating with him to feeding him. This was the worst of times. Communication is another challenge. His speech has declined, and trying to fully understand what he's saying is difficult. I know how to meet his basic needs and care for him. However, it is stressful and challenging when I cannot understand what he's saying. However, after 56 years of marriage, I'm pretty good at interpreting what he's saying and reading his body language. I listen with my heart and respond accordingly. But it also gives me time to give him a big hug and a big kiss. And even if I don't understand, that works every time. For every unexpected twist and turn and challenge that I face, there's always rewards and lessons learned. Each challenge has inspired me in some way and has allowed me to discover many things about myself. I have learned that I have divine wisdom, and I'm a kind, patient, and compassionate person. I enjoy taking care of my husband and certainly being his advocate. It is the most rewarding position I've ever had, and I'm proud of my title as caregiver. I've seen the power of prayer in my life, and I've also seen the evidence and the prayers and the difference that intercessory prayer has made. I have been in contact with every prayer group that you can imagine or that I knew about, and asking them to add my husband to their prayer list. Prayer does make a difference. I've learned to say yes to friends and church members who offer their services. I'm grateful for their kindness, and I also use the services of many of these social service organizations in our community. I've utilized the services that are provided by my health insurance. I've learned that what is truly important in life, and that is to appreciate the little things and count my blessings. Sitting and holding my husband's hand, even in his condition, there are times when he will smile, when he will laugh, or when he will say something that will make me laugh, or when he will go to the piano and begin to play. That's the best of times. At the end of the day, after I have prepared my husband for bed, and yes, I am exhausted, I still fall on my knees and say, thank you, God. We made it through another day. I know God has prepared and ordained me for every step of this journey. And He's done that in order that I might be a witness, a living testimony, and a light for family, friends, and neighbors. And I want them to see that if God can do it for me, He can do it for them as well. Yes, it's been the worst of times, but it's also been the best of times. I'm grounded in my faith, and I know that God will give me the strength that I need. If I try to look at the days ahead, I cannot see my way. However, if I take one day at a time, God rewards my faithfulness. My husband and I are reaping the rewards from the seeds we've planted during our lifetime, and for the many acts of kindness that we've shown to others. We are now receiving that from family and friends. As challenging and heartbreaking and sad as this role of caregiving can be, I have learned that the rewards and lessons learned far outweighs the challenges. I know there are lessons that have not yet been revealed to me, but in the days and months ahead, I will be so much wiser and can help others that will come and may have to face this journey themselves. I have been rewarded with the gift of courage, peace, joy, and the knowledge that everything that I ever needed was already in me. Yes, it is indeed the best of times. And yes, it's been the worst of times. But I'm thankful to God that I've learned that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that is what makes it the best of time. Thank you for this opportunity this evening. And thank you for listening. God bless.
Thank you so much, my dear sister, Mrs. Barbara Moore. We have some affirmations. A big amen from Stephanie Whipple. Another comment, my lesson is God is God. God's all the time, good or bad, in and out of seasons, times that are trying, and growing in God's grace and wisdom. Thank you, Mrs. Whipple. We have another affirmation from Sabrina Holler Yeager. A big thank you. I just wanted to thank you also. I am deeply moved by what you've shared this evening. I'm just struck by your spiritual wisdom, resilience, and your capacity to be authentic, to tell it like it is, both the challenges and the rewards.
Mm-hmm.
We're blessed to have you with us, dear Mrs. Barbara Moore.
Thank you.
We love you and appreciate you greatly.
Thank you.
And now let's move on to our second presenter, Reverend Leonard Hixson. Great blessing to have you with us, Minister Hixson, and it's wonderful that you're at Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church in Pensacola doing this presentation.
Yes, it's a blessing to be here. First, I want to say good afternoon to everybody, and it's an honor to be a part of this program. My name is Minister Leonard Hixson. I am a member of the Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church in Pensacola, Florida, where I serve as one of the evangelist ministers and nursing home ministries. I recently served as pastor of the Word of Faith Church in Pensacola, Florida, and when the Lord was calling me to ministry years ago, calling me to preach, I was a over-the-road truck driver. Well, I thought I was supposed to give up truck driving and come home and get a local job and where I was supposed to serve there, but I found out that he was on the road where he wanted me to start my ministry. So I was a truck driver evangelism minister, and I went from state to state and city to city, ministering the word of God to who all I ran into, and that started my ministry, and as I later I started working with people with substance abuse at the county jail and at county jails, and I ministered to people in prisons, and then I started nursing home ministry, not knowing that God was preparing me later to take part in taking care of my mom with dementia. And so when the Lord brought me off the road, I lost my sight in 2013, and that's what brought me back off the road again. And I didn't understand why, but God was preparing me then. He was bringing me off the road so I could prepare to take care of my mother down the road. So I was introduced to nursing home ministry, as I said, and the Lord was preparing me even more to how to handle her, because mom being mom took care of me all of my life, and when I went to visit my mom with my family, I used to love going by myself simply because I could always be a child when I went. But if I took my wife and my kids with me, then I had to be the husband, I had to be a dad. But when I went by myself, I was still able to be her oldest child. And so, but when she developed dementia, and then I just didn't know how to react to that. And I just thank God so much. So later the Lord chose me to, like I said, to be a minister at the nursing home ministry. And so when I got there, I ran into all kind of people that some had dementia, some had other problems, but the Lord gave me the patience. He gave me the wherewithal to be able to minister to all of these people. And so, but in 2018, my mom came down with dementia, and my brother was taking care of her. So, and I know what Sister Moore was talking about when she had lost so many family members. It teaches you some things. I lost two brothers. One brother, two sisters, a dad, and a mom, and three of those was due to heart problems. And but the thing about it is, but He prepared you for a lot of things, but He don't prepare you on how. I wasn't prepared on how to take care of my mom with dementia, and so it was a hard thing to do. But with being legally blind myself, I just didn't know what to do. And when you can't see in the midst of all this, you see your mom hurting, you see her crying out for help, and you don't know what to do. And it took a lot of prayer, it took a lot of this to get me through it. So, but I was introduced to the ACTS program in January of 2019, and well, that was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me in my whole entire life. Because when I joined the ACTS program, and they filled that void, because I was running out trying to cook for my mom and trying to take care of her, and couldn't halfway see, but I'm still trying to do all this because we was determined that we wasn't going to put her in a nursing home. So me and my two brothers, we shared taking care of her. So in 2019, I took full responsibility of taking care of her full time. And I put my whole life on hold. And I thank God for my wife in the midst of all that, because she dealt with that, and she didn't have to, but she did. And I just thank God so much for her, because she helped me get through with this. But back to the ACTS program again, that when I called, what regardless of what time it was, they was there for me. They coached me through it. They helped me through it. And it was an experience that I would never forget the longest day I lived, simply because it was God sent. It was answered prayer. It was what I prayed. I said, Lord, I don't know how to take care of my mom, and I don't know what to do. And so when I was introduced to the ACTS program, and I start talking with the leaders and all these people, and I tell you what, he just filled that void that I needed to be filled. That needed to be filled. So I give God the praise. I glorify Him, and I advise anybody that you, if you got any family members that have dementia or are going through, I advise you to get in contact with the ACTS program, because they will be a blessing to you. And I just thank God for Dr. Rob. I thank God for all the people that participated, that taught me how to be a caregiver. Because let me tell you something, caregiver, you have to be birthed into it. It ain't something that you can read in a book, or you can be taught. It have to be in your heart. You have to have the love for the person that you are caring for. It have to be in your heart. And I thank God so much for giving me a caring spirit, to the point to where I can do it, where I could really take care of my mom. And my mom was my best friend up until she went home to be with the Lord last year in February. But I say again, I thank God for the ACTS program. I thank God for each and every one of you. And I pray that something that I said may benefit somebody along the way, because it's going to take God to get through a family member that's suffering from dementia, because it's something that it's new avenues, it's new streets, it's new roads that we conquer every day. And most of the time, we don't be ready for them physically, but spiritually, down on the inside, God have us prepared. He have us ready to cross those hurdles. And I just thank God so much for the ACTS program, and I thank you so much. And I turn it back over into the hands of Dr. Roberts.
Thank you so much, Reverend Hixson. I was struck by your evangelical roots as an itinerant trucker minister. It just reminded me of really of the apostles who went from town to town, sharing the good news with others. I didn't realize that you had that ministry, and I'm so deeply moved to hear, what you did as a trucker. Wow, I imagine you blessed many people. Oh dear.
Yeah.
And just your dedication to your mom. It's you're such a shining light, and someone that all of us whose walk we would want to emulate. So we do have some affirmations. We have Johnny Lee, Johnny Livingston Lee. You might recognize that name.
Oh,
What
yes.
what a blessing! You hear it says yes. What a blessing you are, Reverend Hixson. Stephanie Whipple said the same thing. What a blessing!
I thank Sister Johnny for being so supportive and just there to help me when I needed the help. Because I couldn't have got through with this thing. I couldn't have got through with taking care of my mom without her. She had an answer for everything that I was faced with, all the challenges that I faced. She was there to help me through it. Thank you so much, sister.
Well, thank you so much, Reverend Hixson. What a moving testimony. Boy, are we blessed this evening. Here we go. Carolyn Rhines, awesome testimony. I'll second the motion on that one. Boy. And now I'd like to introduce our third featured presenter, Miss Jackie Edwards, Acts 2 facilitator and caregiver for her dear 99-year-old mother with dementia. And Jackie, I just wanted to thank you for coming this evening. I know that you're not feeling well, and nonetheless, you took up the gauntlet. We're grateful to you. I'll turn it over to you now, Miss Jackie.
Okay, thank you. I've had the pleasure of serving as a lay pastoral care facilitator for the Acts 2 project. I have left 3 different groups, and I must say that it was a blessing to the group to work with each group and to help them with their issues. When I was asked if I could be interested in leading a group, I said yes with hesitation. I was concerned that I didn't have answers to caregivers with their issues. At the time, my level of caregivers was minimal, especially for taking care of individuals with dementia as Alzheimer's caregivers. The Acts 2 project gave me several weeks of training. Once we started with our groups, we had lots of support. We met in person and we met by phone. We had their course binder that give us any information, like if we were in Jacksonville, our information was for Jacksonville. If it was for Orlando, it was for Orlando. So it was really great information. After several weeks of studying Alzheimer's and peer learning to listen closely and how engaging several of different perspectives, I was considered myself ready for duty. As a facilitator, it is important to remind everyone that we are not there to solve issues, but to share our own experiences and offer encouragement. We help you think through the issue, and you, or the caregiver, explore as possible solutions. We are only disallowed to share our thoughts with our permission. We had completed training, weeks of training. We reviewed caregivers bio so that we can familiar with the person and be able to really help them. And we prepared sessions at that we met weekly. Prepared prayer. We prayed with caregivers often. We prayed together. We meditated. We shared verses. We shared experiences. We shared failures and successes. For a brief period, God allowed us to be a family, an extended family. Being a facilitator prepared me for the stages that my mom would go through as through in Alzheimer's. She currently has minor Alzheimer's. When I initially became a facilitator, I did not have experience of taking care of my mom who has Alzheimer's. Being a facilitator helped me recognize the symptoms of Alzheimer's and also helped me know how to address the issues. It helped me acknowledge that the disease was a problem far bigger than me. Being trying to handle the issue of support of others, family, friends, others, and caregivers was being overwhelming. When my mom started having hallucinations, it scared me to death. Everything seemed to be real to her. It's important to remember that the diffusion. Occasionally, I still reach out to some of my caregivers. They are such an inspiration to me. I've learned to see the blessings and taking care of someone that took care of me when I could take care of myself. And on many occasions gives me praise and thanks for through him doing me something ordinary. Okay. When we met for our group, we prayed together, and we had all our sessions. We shared Bible verses. We shared our strengths and our weaknesses. We encouraged each other. We shared techniques that worked from when we had similar problems. The sessions brought us together. A lot of people in my group are still a group in our sessions. We still contact them. Okay. Being a facilitator is very rewarding. Support groups can provide a sense of connection and offer an opportunity to share your thoughts and ideas and suggestions. Compare notes and learn from others in a similar situation. A similar place to share feelings honestly without having to be strong or put up a brave front for the family. No one understands as well as the caregiver. There are also internet support groups that easy to connect with others without the leave home and can fit around your schedule. But I honestly believe that the Acts 2 facilitator program is the best program for helping caregivers take deal with Alzheimer's. I'm finished. Thank you.
Oh, dear Miss Jackie, I'm just, I know that you have strep throat, you're not feeling well, and at the same time, you've, by the grace of God, shared the beauty of your walk as a facilitator, a lay pastoral care facilitator for Acts 2, and as a caregiver for your dear mom. Isn't it ironic that, and I've experienced the same, my wife has now mild cognitive impairment, you know that. And Acts 2 prepared me for my journey now as a care partner for my mom. And it seems as if the training you received as a facilitator, not knowing much about the condition, has prepared you to be the optimal care partner you would like to be for your mom. And you have an affirmation. So, thank you, Ms. Whipple. You've contributed significantly this evening. We appreciate that. Others, please join please give us the opportunity to hear your thoughts and comments or questions. We thank you, Ms. Whipple, for honoring Ms. Edwards' effort this evening because she is not feeling well. And we are so thankful that she, as you said, made the sacrifice to be with us this evening. Jackie, thank you, dear. And
Thank you.
We'll move on to our next featured presenter, Mrs. Tamika Norton Brown, family caregiver and Acts 2 project coordinator.
Good evening, everyone. What I'm going to do is to give information on our Acts 2 caregiver project. And as Miss Stephanie said, she thanked Miss Jackie for making a sacrifice for being with us. And as caregivers, that is something that you're often put in the position to do. You often have to sacrifice what you're feeling, what you're thinking, keep your emotions in check so you can be there to care for your loved one. And because of that, our Acts 2 program is a place that you can come, like Mr. Hixson said before, just come to get some support. And what I'm going to do is just kind of give information on our program, what it entails, and how to sign up for our program. Next slide, please. So for our Acts 2 program, what we are is a free faith-based, which means that we have just incorporated things such as prayer, meditation, faith sharing into the actual 12-session program. But although we are faith-based, we are also ecumenical, which means that we are open to everyone. I will also state that the 12-session program is for African American caregivers, but anyone who contacts us either through Facebook, through our website, through email, or by phone, we will definitely refer to resources that are available in the community. And I also just want to add quickly, in order to qualify for our program, you just have to be a relative caregiver. Does not mean that the person has to live in the home with you. And we loosely define relative. So if that person feels like a relative to you and you consider them to be your relative, then we consider that person to be your relative as well. You just need to spend 6 hours in caregiving duties and you have to be experiencing some type of distress from your caregiving duties. Our Acts 2 project has 3 main objectives. First of all, we serve the entire state of Florida. 6 hours per week in your caregiving duties. As I said before, we serve the entire state of Florida, and we have 3 primary objectives. The first is to optimize the access, the uptake, and effectiveness of faith-based skills training and support for distressed African American caregivers of older adults with dementia. We want to do things such as this to increase dementia awareness and knowledge through presentations and workshops at faith community, elder care venues, as well as through print and our social media platforms. We also provide brief telephone-based consultation and referral services to African American dementia caregivers and other stakeholders. Those are our 3 main objectives. Next slide, please. I'm now going to go into a description of the skills building program. Our Acts 2 program, the 12 group, I'm speaking about the 12 groups, includes 7 group skills building. So there are 3 caregivers in a group and 1 lay pastoral care facilitator, as Ms. Jackie said, like she was a facilitator. So there are 3 caregivers, 1 facilitator, 7 group skills building sessions, and 5 individual sessions. All of the sessions are delivered weekly over toll-free telephone by the lay pastoral care facilitators. Those 5 individual sessions with the facilitators are going to focus on goal setting and problem solving to address any concerns that have been identified by the caregivers. Next slide, please. Our program consists of 6 major components. The first is an overview of the basic characteristics of the dementias, or what we call Dementia 101. There is relaxation training that's combined with calming prayer and or meditation. There's this whole myth that relaxing is just going home, kicking off your shoes and getting in your favorite chair, when there's actually an entire technique where it teaches you to have your mind, body, and spirit actually enter into a state of relaxation. So we actually train our caregivers in knowing how to relax. We have effective thinking about the challenges of caregiver coupled with scripture, just kind of changing the way you think about your caregiving situation. Next slide, please. We have my favorite, building in pleasant daily activities as a guard against emotional distress, or what I call it is the me time module. Just being able to navigate, getting 15 minutes to take a walk or to listen to some gospel music. We have communicating effectively with the care partner with dementia, family, and health professionals. And then lastly, developing effective problem-solving skills through personal goal setting. Next slide, please. I'm now going to talk about some resources that are available. We have the Alzheimer's Association, the Alzheimer's Foundation of America, the Florida Department of Elder Affairs, the Elder Helpline, Elder Care Locator, Alzheimer's Disease Education and Referral Center. Next slide. How can we contact Acts 2? Several ways that you can contact us. You can always send a message here on our Facebook page. We do respond to those messages. We have a toll-free number, 866-778-2724. My local cell phone number, 850-274-4945. My email address, tnnorton@fsu.edu. And what we're now going to do is bring up our website so you can see what's available on there as well. So on our website, if you will click on links, please. This page has useful links that are Florida and also national. So if you were trying to, find out to see our documentary or one of those type things, if you click on the links page, it'll have the direct links to those. If you would click on Caregiver Resources, on our Caregiver Resources page, we have things such as prayers and readings. We have information on basics of dementia, like the Alzheimer's disease fact sheet. We have information on the treatment of Alzheimer's disease. We have information on like bathing and exercising and healthy eating. So if you come to our Caregiver Resources page, you will be able to find that information. If you would click on donate, please. Okay. Acts 2 is primarily funded through grants and private donations. So if you are interested in how to donate to Acts 2, you can come to our donate page and it will have all of that information located on that page. And if you would go to sign up, please. This is just another way of being able to contact us. It has all of the telephone numbers, also has my email address here. You can fill out this contact us form, and what this does, and any question, any information that you want, just put it in there. It comes to my email address, and I do respond to people who reach out, whether it be by phone, through Facebook, email. If there's no such thing as a silly question, I tell everybody, if you're unsure, if you don't even know where to start, just go ahead, come here. You can fill out this contact form. It will come to me and we will do our best to answer and provide any information that you need. What we are now going to do for the last portion of time that we have, we're going to bring everybody back and we'll have a panel discussion where we can take any questions that you all may have.
All right. Well, thank you, Mrs. Moore, Reverend Hixson, Jackie Edwards, and of course, Tamika Norton Brown for your excellent presentations, your authenticity, the information you provided, and your discussion about rewards that you've experienced in your caregiving activities. Thank you so much. We have a question from Hattie Mary Young. Oh, it's actually a statement. This is a wonderful program, very helpful to those individuals who find themselves in caregiving situation. Thank you, Hattie Mary Young. We appreciate your comment. From Stephanie Whipple, she's faced some challenges, but would need some information on different stages. And I was wondering, Mrs. Moore, if you could give some examples, if you feel led to, and I can follow up as well, on the changes in behavior that you've noticed with your husband as he's transitioned from one phase to the next.
Okay. Over the years, it's been several things, but if I can think of probably three major changes. One was, again, I've indicated my husband was a minister of music, so he was in the public arena, and it was obvious when he started to forget, because I do remember very vividly in a worship service, he played the same song twice. So he was beginning to forget. The second thing was getting lost in his driving. So that was another. So first of all, so he has to retire, if you will, from his position of minister of music. So that the next thing he had to give up was his driving, because he was getting confused and getting lost in the driving. The other area was, he was forgetting how to take care of himself. So I had to, he couldn't take, just general care, giving himself a bath, shaving, those kinds of things. So he forgot those things. The most recent thing was not understanding about eating. I would give him his utensils, and I always had an extra one for me. We would eat together. So he recently forgot what the utensils were for, and so I had to start to feed him. So it was just a number of things like that I have noticed, but the list goes on and on.
Do we have comments from others, from Reverend Hixson and from Tamika Norton Brown and Jackie Edwards? And then we'll read Zan Novakovsky's comment.
But my mom, she was just a house mom all her life. She didn't drive, she didn't go to the grocery store, which my dad did most everything. My mom took care of us all our life. And I can say that my mom, I never heard my mom say a curse word in my whole 18 years of being at home. She didn't know how to do that. But I saw changes when you know her for real. I mean, she was just a quiet person. She sat there, even when she got dementia real bad. She really wasn't that hard because she let people say, well, she's going to start cursing. I said, well, how can she curse? Those words is not in her vocabulary. And she didn't talk about anybody. She didn't fuss. So I enjoyed taking care of my mom up until she passed. But when she got ready to leave us, she told me, she looked at me in my face and she told me, she said, son, I'm going to miss you. And I thank God so much for that. And so I can't really tell you about a lot of the changes. I saw her mind deteriorate, but she didn't react to a lot of it. She just stopped doing it. And when she stopped doing it, I didn't try to push her to do it, because she never drove. The only thing she was good at was that she just we didn't want to stop doing was cooking. So, but she had a gas stove, so we had to go and cut the stove off. But my mom was a super lady up until she passed away, and she just didn't mumble or grumble about anything. She did.
Amen. Tamika, anything you want to add, or before we read Dr. Novakovsky's comment?
I'll just add that when I was caregiving, I witnessed the full gamut from, my aunt forgetting little things, like she would start to tell the same story, and then 10 minutes later she'd tell me that story again. So I went from her just forgetting just little simple things. She had always, she owned her own business, and she owned a cleaning company. We get to one office, but it would be the wrong night, because that was the Tuesday night office, but it was Monday night and we were there. So little things like that started happening, all the way up to her not being able to, to feed herself or to do all those type things. She suffered from stroke. So some of it was stroke related, but a lot of it was just the natural progression of the condition. And so I kind of went through the full gamut with her. And some of the changes are subtle changes, and it'll have you questioning yourself, going, well, is it or isn't it? So that's why it's really important to maybe look at some of those fact sheets and things to kind of see what is normal forgetting versus what is a warning sign. So I always encourage everybody, take advantage of those resources. There are things that are out there. If you don't know where to start, give me a call and I can send you some stuff. Just so you can kind of identify the difference between what might be normal, but hey, wait a minute, this is a red flag, as Dr. G would say.
Thank you so much. I'm going to spare you the question, Ms. Edwards, if you don't mind. Maybe when you come back for another presentation, I'll have 5 or 6 questions for you. Here's the comment from Miss Zan Novakovsky. Miss Edwards did an amazing job. It's so important to remember that many of us caregivers get sick ourselves. Maybe we live with chronic conditions, and maybe we deal with acute health issues. Either case, we always have an immense amount to give, as we also receive support from others in our lives. Thank you, Zan and Novakovsky. We appreciate your thoughtful comment.
That's true.
And we have an affirmation for you, Jackie. Carolyn Rhines. Jackie is doing an excellent job with her mom. Amen. Thank you, Ms. Rhines. Obtaining information is in different regions for assistance in being prepared for the stages of dementia. I also want to know if there's a difference between caring for males as I care for my father. All of these are very, very good questions. I know that Tamika, I'm going to refer to you for the second part. You were the care partner for your aunt first with dementia, and then your uncle. Do you have a response to Miss Whipple's question in the second sentence?
Sure. For me, the level of care that I gave to both was the same. There were just subtle differences with my uncle, whereas my aunt would let me bathe her, clothe her, feed her, no problem. When it came to my uncle, he was a man's man. And so there were several times, and he just died not quite a year ago, but there were several times when I would get told, you're not my mama, I'm your daddy, because they raised me. And so it was just, there's subtle things. I provided the same level of care because I loved them both dearly and would, walk through whatever I had to walk through. But there are some differences, especially, and I've heard other caregivers talk about that difference between daughters caring for fathers, simply because, dad is always he's the one that we go to when we need something. And so as much as we may be thinking this is uncomfortable for us, I've always tried to put myself in the shoes of my uncle to say, okay, here it is. I have to be the one to now, change his clothes or to get him in a depend. Whereas when I was a baby, he was the one who was diapering me. And I think, and my husband was very good in explaining to me, as a man, that it hits different. And so it's just about being mindful. But whatever you're doing, as long as you're doing it with love, from a place of love, constantly reassuring them, daddy, I'm doing this because I love you. I want you to be okay. We're going to do this together. My uncle couldn't put his belt loop, so I actually had to reteach him how to put his belt in his pants sitting on the side of the bed. I'm like, we're going to string them up before you put them on, but let him do whatever he could do. And the things that he wasn't able to do, he knew that I was there to kind of stand in the gap and to feel that. So I think as long as you're coming from it from a place of, daddy, I love you, uncle, I love you, husband, brother, whomever, I love you, and I'm doing this because, I want to make sure that you're good at the end of the day. Care is care. Caring is caring. So those are just some of the things that I've had to deal with.
We have a comment from Priscilla Jean-Louis. Men can also be a little bit more aggressive at times, but I agree. But I agree. The level of care is the same that for I guess for both. That's my interpretation. Thanks so much. Also, I wanted to inform you, Ms. Whipple and others, if you would like more information about regional resources, or if you would like more information about the changes in stages. There's the simplest way to view it is mild, moderate, and severe stages, and there are resources that we can provide you and others that specifies those stages and also will provide information on how to respond to the demands and concerns that emerge in those stages. So if you would email Tamika, TN Norton, at fsu.edu, Tamika will provide that information to you and others. We are here to meet the need, folks. So if there's information, support, if you want referrals to locations across the state of Florida and across the country, we will do our very best to tailor the referral to your preferences and needs. Well, we do thank you for joining us this evening, echoing the two people behind the scenes. First, I'd like to thank Chrissy Souders and Melissa Powell, who are behind the scenes, not visible, but their actions are. We really appreciate your efforts in the production of this Facebook Live workshop. I also want to give each of you of our panel a brief opportunity for a last word to the people. So who would like to begin first?
I will. I thank you, first of all, for this opportunity to making preparation and going and reviewing what the challenges are, the rewards, and the lessons learned was very therapeutic for me. I know we were supposed to be doing this for the listeners, but I found it very, very, very helpful, and I'm so appreciative for the opportunity to have this therapy session because it was very helpful. And I think I concur with what everyone has said. I enjoyed every presentation. But when we do what we do out of love, it becomes much easier. It's a tremendous challenge and it's rough. But it at the end of the day, because we do it out of our love, then we are able to do it. And when we make up our mind to do what we can, God does the other. And I'm grateful for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Moore.
This is Minister Hixson, and I thank you guys again. I thank the ACTS program again for being there for me, and I won't never forget what I've learned, and I shared a lot with my brothers, and they was able to help me take care of Mom. But what I've learned, I never forget, and I recommend you guys to anybody that I come in contact with that have family members that are dealing with dementia, because it's so helpful. So you guys are doing a great work. Just keep on doing what you're doing and keep on reaching people, because it is very, very, very needed. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Amen.
Jackie Edwards, I know you want to get a word in here, a final word.
Let me see can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to participate. The Acts 2 project has definitely changed my life for us. Me and familiar with the Alzheimer's and the different stages of Alzheimer's, and just being able to give people some advice as I cross as I cross paths. Okay.
Thank you. Tamika Norton Brown.
My message is just one for caregivers. If you don't know where to start and you need help, pick up the phone, give me a call, send an email. You know, we are here. When we say that we are here to help, we mean that we are here to help. You deserve, even as you're caring for your loved one, you deserve to live your best life now as well. So you can't keep pouring from an empty pitcher. Allow someone to be there for you and to pour into you. So there are no silly questions. There's, no, this is a safe space where you can talk about whatever it is that you need to talk about, and we will absolutely do whatever we can do to assist you on your journey. So don't hesitate to reach out, please.
And I would like to thank this panel. What a great opportunity to amplify the voices of Black care partners. It's, in my experience, most of the time, when you go to a presentation about caregiving, you're hearing from someone like myself, and a professional, and typically white. And I'm not saying that that makes a huge difference, but I do think that we need to amplify the voices of the Black community and the Black care partners, because it is so rarely done. So I wanted to thank this panel for bringing to what was for me a dream, to have a panel of persons who are all care partners talking about their experiences, their perspectives, their challenges, lessons learned, and rewards. So this was a dream come true for me personally. This is something that I've wanted to do for a while. Thank you, Priscilla, Jean-Louis. Also, I wanted to let you folks know that we are going to have a workshop. This is going to be another great opportunity for the community. We are going to be talking about dementia caregiving and COVID-19 moving forward. We had a previous presentation a few months ago, but much has happened. We are going to be highlighting recent developments in prevention and also treatment options. And we are going to have a candid discussion about the issues in the Black community that may lead persons to choose not to be vaccinated. And to hear those reservations, we are going to, folks, to bring all of this to the table to explore with one another, and with no agenda. We want to hear both sides of the story, those who are advocating for prevention and treatment, and also those who have reservations. We're going to do that next time. I encourage you to join us. We don't have the exact date set at this point, but please go to our Facebook website, Acts 2 Caregiver Project, and we'll be providing information on date and time, featured speakers, and we hope that you'll join us. And finally, thank you so much for being with us. What a great opportunity to make the handshake with persons in the community. Have a blessed evening.